Welcome back to the Entertainment Roundup. I'm J77, and it's been a while, 1 week, but again, when you're sick, have no voice, or have a voice that sounds like Kermit the Frog, you don't want to put that on YouTube. And before I get started, my daughter wants to say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
And without further ado, let's get started here. Now, as for the video that I made, I'm going to post that video. You're going to hear how bad I was. Because I do feel that has some importance to what's going on with the movie industry. It will be part of the midweek edition. I actually will have to make some adjustment to correct some people about why this video is coming out late, but I do want to post that out because it is a video. I don't want to waste it. It was a long video, so I will post that video up in due time. I also have my daughter's video that she's going to post into it, but there's going to be some changes that I have to do, which leads me to why I'm making this video. Now, I am not talking about any other stories in this video. I want to stay focused on this main topic because it's a very important topic. It's a topic that I'm starting to see my favorite YouTubers talk about. Even those who are not big, I always value their opinion. I am also put some of my favorite YouTube on standby to look at it later because I want my fresh influence to actually, be the word on this channel. I have a couple of articles that I'm going to be talking about, which led to COPPA coming down hard on YouTube. One of them is done by Sarah Men. This was updated on September 5th, 2019. It was also by courtesy of CBS News. I'm also going to talk about the changes that was given to me unveiled by YouTube themselves. I'm also going to be talking about some of the worries that many people are very, very concerned about. This article is done by vidIQ, and this is actually YouTube certified, so they say. I don't really know, but I am going to talk about because when I scan through this, it's consistent for what everybody is saying, so I will talk about this. I'm going to talk also about the reason why this is happening. The reason why I'm not too thrilled of the SET getting involved because of how outdated they really are. I'm also going to get on a little bit on YouTube, but not as much. Not as much. Okay, maybe as much as I can, much as YouTube drives me nuts at times on how they really they want to get involved but don't want to get involved situation. In this situation, they really are being pulled the hand. And the burden is so big because this was a huge fine. This is not no ticky-tack fine. This was a very huge fine. And they're not going to take it twice. Let's be realistic here. But there are things here that really does spark worries. And in many ways, you should be worried because that means major changes that many people don't feel comfortable with. There's already been some changes that many fans of the platform and those who have make a living, and I want to make that very clear, making a living is concerned about, and rightfully so. There are also some areas that I'm not showing passion with because some of these channels know what they were doing, who they was targeting, and it was that very reason why YouTube themselves have gotten in trouble. And I'm looking at it from both sides here. I understand why why COPPA exists, but I also understand the situation that brings the concerns from YouTubers, especially those who don't make children contact, because they see this as a gateway for other stuff to happen. So there's a lot of reasons to be concerned. I'm not sitting here and saying that this is a I'm not concerned about it. If you're on a social media site, just a website in general, you have every reason to be concerned. If your videos or even have a hint or a pinch of children contact and you don't report it, and if the FCC spots it, you have every reason to be concerned. There is a lot to lose, but there's also a lot to gain in terms of regulation. Yes, I don't look at regulation as the big bad boogeyman. If it's done right and if it's done fair, then I don't have a problem with it, because the main key here is to be safe. That's the bottom line. Now, my personal feeling, children shouldn't belong in a platform Period. No kid should not be left unattended on this kind of platform. Right? I know they say 13 and under, but honestly, there are certain degrees that they should be very careful about. At least with this stuff that I've seen my daughter watch, Nala and Ellie, FTTV, the family is there. You see the family firsthand. All right, so there is supervision going on. There is scripted plays going on. This is not Daddy 05 doing some stupid stuff that's nonsense. These are actual kid-friendly stuff that I admit enjoy. But there are other also places like, that you got to question the motive of some of these channels. You got to question the motive of why they really exist. And you got to question the motive of how YouTube is pushing their commercials. Because that's the big key here. That's the real thing that's really is at stake here. Now, I've already said this before. I always said it again. But people do rely on YouTube as income. I don't have a problem with YouTube relying on income, but you have to understand the one major key here. All right, if you don't own the platform, you don't own. You can't have no control of what goes on with YouTube. If YouTube decide one day to pull all this revenue, which they're not going to do, but they can. There's nothing you can do about it. They already got less and less and shelling out less and less and finding every excuse not to shell out. And as a fact, a lot of YouTubers, some I actually did watch for entertainment, are no longer doing YouTube. They actually move away from YouTube. And that's fine. They found some other revenue. They found something else to do to make money of. That's fine. But this is going beyond YouTube. This is going beyond how far can YouTube push in terms of marketing, in terms of collecting information and data. Keep in mind, if you don't think this is a big deal, Zuckerberg went to Congress and had to answer for information about how he was making money and how people did not seem to take likely to their personal information that's supposed to be kept on a lock and key, being sold to individuals out there for God knows what. That's a big deal. And YouTube is no different. At least with YouTube, at least what they're doing, at least they let you understand this is the way it's going to go. This is how we make money. This is how it's going to happen. This is how this is how your ads going to be shown to them. However, there is a limit. There is a law. And that law has been in existence for years. It's just now YouTube got caught out there. They did something that's supposed to do. And we're going to read what that is. And that's why they have a fine. And let me tell you something. It is a big fine. This is not a $10 million fine or a $500,000. This is $170 million we're talking about here. And as part of the lawsuit, they're going to have to make a changement. They're being pretty much forced to regulate themselves, which is something which, honestly, to be fair, they should have done years ago. Especially when you have ad revenue coming in. This should have been done years ago. Now let me read the article here, which pretty much will set the stage of my feelings on this. And if you think I'm bashing Google, I'm really not. But this is something that I think not just Google needs to learn, but everyone who is independent. And I know a lot of the YouTubers don't like to consider themselves independent businessmen or women. But if you're making money off your video content, then you have to look at it that way, because guess what? The government is looking at you like that. You're making money, yeah, they're going to look at you. They're going to keep an eye on you. They're going to see how you're making money, whether or not you're breaking the law in terms of how you make that money. And what leads me to my second concern, that I think all YouTubers, whether they're doing kids content or not, need to take a strong, hard look, especially those who claims they don't like their way it is and everything else. I got news for you. It's coming, and you need to take a long, hard look at how your business model, and I just put that strongly, business model works for you. If you think you're not in the business of making videos, and you're fooling yourself, because if you're making revenue, even if it's not much from YouTube, but from Patreon or any other place you're getting, it's a business. It's not just a hobby. It's not just something that I do. I don't make money off of this. Never had, never will. You never see an ad on my videos. But others do. And you have to ask yourself, Just how are you producing these videos? That's how much add or in these videos. And whether or not you're in or not, they are actually breaking the law. It's called self-responsibility. But let me get to the right here. It says, Google, courtesy of CBS News. The article is from Sarah Min. It says here, Google to pay $170 million for violating kids' privacy on YouTube. By the way, this is a record fine, so keep that in mind. Google will pay a record of $170 million fine to settle a lawsuit filed by the federal and state authorities that charges the internet giant with violating children's privacy on YouTube. The Federal Trade Commission, FCC, said Wednesday. The settlement requires Google and YouTube to pay $136 million to the FCC and $36 million to New York State for violating Children's Online Privacy Protecting Act, or in a nice word we are now come to familiar, COPPA, by collecting personal information of children without their parents' consent. This is very important. Okay? Without their parents' consent. Kids influence companies make millions while law-protected children fail to keep up. Arizona Echo Dots Kids puts their kids at risk. Complaint allege. New programs teaches kids how to protect their privacy online. The FCC and the New York City attorney alleged that the complaint in the YouTube gathering children's personal information by using cookies and personal identifiers that tracks users online. According to the suit, YouTube earns millions of dollars by using the information to deliver targeted ads to our kids. COPPA requires online website to obtain personal contact prior to the collecting kids online parental consent. Prior to collecting kids online user information. The FCC and the New York Attorney General Latin James said that while YouTube claimed it caters to a general audience, many of its online channels are aimed at children under the age of 13. That requires service to comply with the C.O.P.P.A. guidance. YouTube taught its popularity with children to protect the corporation clients, FCC Chairman Joe Simone said in a statement. When it comes to complying with the COPPA, the company refused to acknowledge that portion of its platform is clearly directed to kids. This is a very important thing. But when it comes to advertisers, the FCC alleged that YouTube told at least one maker that the video search need not to comply with COPPA, as it did not have user under the age of 13 on its platform. And then this is not actually not true. And this is where the confusion comes in. And let me stop here right now. I mentioned this. FCTV is a family. Lots of kids on there. They think he has like 5 kids on there. The father is the most popular one. I actually like his videos. Now, I do not know they asked the father his permission. I know that he makes a lot of YouTube. He has 5 channels. One of the kids is barely, at the time, was barely 2 years old. Right? And even though they're saying that there's no kids on the platform, if he's in that video, he's part of that platform. You can see him on the video. He's not 13. The 2 oldest one, the daughter and the oldest son, they're probably 13. They look like they're in 18. They're fine. But the other 2 are not. And they're on the video. And you see them on the video. They do Let's Plays with their father. And to not bash on this guy, I like I said, I like his content. He is clearly supervising along with his mother, along with his wife. They're all in it together. It's a positive video. He does a great job with the music videos. But guess what? A good portion of the stars are not over the age of 13. So the argument that YouTube has don't have any merit. Prior to Google's settlement, the largest civil FCC penalty for a children's data privacy case was at $5.7 million. For the case of February involving social media apps TikTok. but said it that says Wednesday settlement still amounts to a drop in the bucket for Google, whose parent company Alphabet was sitting in on 121 billion in cash and securities at the end of June. It says here in the argument, due to respond to the FCC charges Wednesday in a blog post outlining the data privacy changes it will make on the video search platform starting in about 4 months. The tech company said it will track data from anyone watching children's content on the website coming from a child, regardless of the age of the user. So this is where the start of their changes in regulation. The company also said it will stop delivering personalized ads on children's content entirely. It will also hide someone's features on kids' channels, such as likes or notification that could influence children's uses. Content creators will also be required to specify whether their content is for children, and YouTube said it will use artificial intelligence, and we all know where that can come from, to identify videos that target children with making such as toys, kids characters, and or games. Well, continuing working with the lawmakers around the world in this area, including as the FCC seeks to commit on COPPA, YouTube CEO Susan Wilcock, I think that's her name. If I said it wrong, my apologies to the CEO in advance. My apologies. Said that the corporate blog post and in a coming months we shall detail how we are rethinking our overall approach to kids and families, including dedicating kids experience on YouTube. For content creators who make videos geared towards children, YouTube said it will establish a $100 million fund dispersed over 3 years to help offset any loss of advertising revenue. So that's actually good. I will say that they're actually setting up. They realize how much it's going to affect their money here. So, and probably the content creators. So that's something I think that a lot of people don't mention in this lawsuit. That's why I wanted to make sure I gather as much information as possible before going in here and pounding my fists on my desk and screaming and ranting and raving. I wanted to make sure that I'm reading this carefully, because everything that's happening happens on this lawsuit. Wells Garden. The settlement follows a complaint filed in April with the FCC and by the Campaign for Commercial-Free Childhood, the Center for Digital Democracy, and 18 other privacies and consumer protection groups, asking federal agencies to crack down on YouTube data collecting practices for kids. YouTube is best known brand among kids ages 6 to 12, beating out Disney Channel, McDonald's, and Lego, according to eMakers. Studies also estimated that nearly half of its kids users under the age of 11 with the platform. Scott Glavin, executive director of the Campaign for a Commercial-Free Childhood, commended the settlement for targeting behavior advertising, which is called the most innocuous form of advertising for children who are consistently ill-equipped to contend against. What are you doing, little one?
And YouTube is really advertising.
Well, if you hear my daughter, who was lying again on the microphone, she said YouTube is very advertising, which she's not lying. Trust me, I'll get to that in a minute. I'm coming for it. But like I said before, the settlement is targeting behavior advertising, which is called the most innocuous form of advertising for children who are consistently ill-equipped to contend against the form of tech giant like Google tracking their online behavior. The article also said, but he and other consumer protection groups said that the $170 million fine is not large enough to deter future violation at YouTube, which gathers $4 billion last year in just advertising revenue, according to Consumer Federation of America. Critics also said that the settlement placed too much burdens of compliance to the content creators instead of the requiring Google and YouTube to police their own platform. And that is not a lie. And I'm going to get to that in a minute, because this is something that continues to bother me about this platform that I put my videos on for the last 6 years. It is mind-boggling. And this is why most of the people are a little bit upset. This is why they're a little bit upset. Also, the article said the lack of accountability is inexcusable, especially since the FCC has clear authority under the Children Online Privacy Protection Act to enforce children's privacy rights. Susan John, Director of Consumer Protection and Privacy at the C.O.P.P.A, said in the settlement. It's like having a school playground with no one responsible for watching their kids and making sure the equipment is safe. Not necessarily true. I'm going to be realistic here. First half, I agree. The lack of policing with YouTube is inexcusable. However, it's also inexcusable for parents to not watch their kids and make sure they know what they're watching and whether or not it's deemed appropriate for them to watch. That still falls on the parent, not YouTube. YouTube is just part of the problem, not the main problem. Says here under the settlement, YouTube is only required to notify creators if their channel targets children. Channels are not allowed to track user information for children without parents' consent. And kids cannot comment on videos without parents' consent. So they're putting it right back on the parents. And you know what? I don't have a problem with that.
Only I can do a comment on YouTube.
My daughter doesn't know when I'm actually doing my videos, but whatever. Going from the campaign, from the commercial-free childhood, suggests that YouTube could additionally move all content from for children to YouTube Kids, creating a supervised walled garden for kids' safety content. That's very interesting. I don't think they want to have a subdivision. I don't think they need a subdivision, to be honest with you. But it is something that may actually happen. But I don't see it happening anytime soon. But it is something that there is an app, for what I understand, that they do have. But having that is not going to be. It's going to be just part of some of the problems that's going on here. There is a problem here, and I do with the last few paragraphs that I've read. One, YouTube does this all the time. It boggles me how YouTube continues to make these mistakes. YouTube have created a situation with these ads. They have created a situation where it's supposed to be, advertiser friendly. Yet they don't seem to take into account what that actually could mean and what could cost them. I still feel that YouTube is a, self-police playground that should not be that way. Alright, YouTube wants to make all these laws. YouTube wants to make all these rules. YouTube wants to change their rules when they see fit at any given moment. Do you know what? YouTube needs to get themselves off their lazy horse and hire people to actually supervise this platform. Someone who's not going to have a biased opinion, customer service, where I can actually call them and talk to someone who is an actual person, rather have these dumb troubleshooters which sometimes doesn't answer the question at all. YouTube needs to start policing themselves better. This is something that I think that anyone who is listening to this podcast would agree on. YouTube is pathetically bad.
No, it isn't.
at policing their platform?
YouTube is not bad.
Stop. They are bad. And this is not going on for a few months. This is going on for years. Years. We have talked about this all the time. They don't want to police. They want us to follow the rules, but they don't want to police and enforce the rules. But they have a robot who doesn't know, who is not human at all, who cannot see the differential of, copyrights and, what is deemed to be fair use or not. Instead of having a actual staff, and for anybody who's going to make this excuse, don't give me that excuse that they can't do it. This is a billion-dollar company. They got the money. They can have the resource. They can hire customer service in different part of the region to deal with the situation and the problems. They choose not to. They have this self-police, robot-style way of doing things, and it never worked. Do you want to know why I don't talk about the YouTube summit that sometimes happen in New York? It's because you don't get no new information. Even those who attend the summit, go in there and address the problems. I never feel they talk about the problems towards me. I never feel that it's relaying that message. It's always, we can't say what was being talked about on the summit. Why? Am I not a YouTuber? Don't these issues not affect me? Even though I don't make money on the platform, I still use the platform. What's this big secret? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not elitist. I'm not part of that big group that has 1 billion subscribers or anything else. So therefore, my opinion really don't matter, and my concerns, it doesn't really matter to me because I'm not making the bread. And I'm not the only one. A lot of the people who I follow, even those who I used to follow, had a very nasty effect on this. That's why if you're watching this podcast, thank you very much for sticking with me. Thank you very much for sharing your opinion, whether it's here or at MaticExpression.com. Thank you. But this is why I don't really sympathize with YouTube too much. Yeah, they get 507 million. That's not chump change. I know they want more, but trust me, the effects, they feel it because they don't want to get another $170 million fine. So they know what's going to happen? It's going to happen just like I'm about to talk in a few minutes. They're going to give it to the content creators. Now, to be fair here, should the content creators be more responsible for what they put on their channels in terms of who is a target for? Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think it's not a big deal to say, hey, my thing is for children. How many's going to do it? I don't know. But if you're targeting, if your main target is for kids, then say it. FCTV is clear this is for target for children. There are some streaming channels who I watch with my daughter, Baldy. I think I watched how many Baldy channels right now in the course of 2 months since I've had my new gig. I watch more Baldy channels than I actually watch regular TV. There are target shows that actually do LOL stories, Barbie stories. They're all for kids. If you're a channel that gives for kids, then say it. Say it. If there are children under a certain age, then let that be known too. If you want the YouTube to collect information, then let them know. At least there, you're being honest, you're being transparent, and YouTube can be appropriate. But at the same time, YouTube need to get their act together in terms of their own policing. They're there, but they're not there. And you get this situation, what you have. The fact that YouTube even say that, and I have to laugh at this, that their platform is normally good for 13-year-olds. Are you kidding me? Yeah, there are many kids contact on YouTube, but there's a whole lot of them that's not. And you cannot tell me that they're gearing towards children. That's ridiculous. I come on, who are we kidding here? I know YouTube is trying to defend themselves, but come on, if you really believe that there are no children under the age of 13 doing YouTube videos, then you obviously have not have their, you don't have your palm, you don't have your eyes on your own platform. Either that or it's gotten so big that you don't even know who is who on the platform, especially those who have 1 million subscribers. That's a joke to me. So how would this affect YouTube? Well, here's some of the stuff I've been reading on. This is coming from my email. Right? There's no, I can share this with you guys because one, it is a universal email. Everybody got this. Anyone who's doing any kind of YouTube channel creativity, you got this on your email. There's no way around it. Okay, so just to let you know. But it says here on his email, important changes that may impact your monetization and content discoverability are coming. Now I got this, when did I get this? I have got this on November the 13th, 2019. I got this less than 4 days ago. Alright. It says here, starting today, all creators are required to tell us if their content is made for kids in order to comply with the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, COPPA, and other acceptable laws to help comply with we are introducing new audience settings in the YouTube studios. Depending on the amount of made-for-kid content you are on your channel, you can set your audience on either the channel level on the video level for those who are setting, and the channel level just one click. Now they showed a picture of it. It says here, made for kids content. And you click on that. That will be one channel level. A mix of both, made for kids and made for kids content. You click this video level. You said a lot made for kids, and you click on this. Now they showed a picture of it. You have 2 adults, you have a teenager, an adult, and you have 2 little kids and they're indicating lots for kids. I'll get to that in a minute. These changes are required as part of a settlement of the U.S. Federal Trade Commission and the New York Attorney General, and will help comply with the Children's Online Protection Act, COPPA, and other accountability laws. We know these changes won't be easy for some creators, and this required change is going to take some time getting used to, but these are important steps to take to ensure companies to compliance with the law. My mistake. Please read more below to understand your legal obligations and the impact choices you may have on your channel. Now, obligation here, that's a very key word here. You know what that means telling you is they're putting the burden on you more so than on YouTube. They're basically saying to the creators, okay, we got hit hard, so we obviously not going to keep getting fined. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it be up to you to do the right thing by telling us if your videos are age appropriate, and if it are, you have to let us know. Is it a lot for kids, mixed, or is it just for adults? Now, personally, I think they had something similar to that, but it wasn't as broad as it is here, because I do believe they had an age restriction where certain channels that had a lot of inappropriate stuff, they had to put age restricted. And let's just say, for instance, if you click on that, you have to show some kind of identification. Sometimes it won't affect certain channels, especially if they know who the user are and the age that person is. But for those kids who are of age and have their channel, if they try to click on that, it will not come on. It says age restricted. You cannot do this. There are a lot of channels like that. If you look down, it says age restriction. I think you also could do that manually. This is just more of a more broader, more clear sense of, hey, is this made for children, not for kids, or is it made for kids? And if so, how much? And this is not just to regulate the videos, more so as to whether or not they can actually, how much they can target kids on ads. That's pretty much what this is all about. It's pretty much controlling what they can advertise and what they cannot advertise, and whether or not they have asked permission. Because I'm pretty sure if you click this, which I haven't done yet, I'm going to do it because I got to make this video, so I'm going to see it right off the bat. Whether or not they're going to ask permission to collect data. And this is something very important. They're getting this now, which I think YouTube is doing right by that. And one thing I will give YouTube, they're actually getting people used to this program now. Because January, that's when the thing's really going to start hitting the fan. Many people believe it is the apocalypse. Honestly, in many ways, it probably is, depending on how much they can. But I don't think it's going to be as crazy as many people think it is. And I'll explain a little bit later. It says, starting today, all creators required to make their content made for kids or not made for kids in the YouTube studio. Okay, this is what they're saying. Starting January, there will be a limit of data we collect on made for kids content to comply with the law. This means we will disable personalized ads on this content, which affect revenue and creators making content for kids, as well as content features like comments, notification, and other notes. You may see some small changes as we experiment and refine our system in the next few months. And this is where people are getting a little bit upset. And if you're a content made for kids, I can understand. All right, this is going to affect your revenue. But I'm also confused. And I'll tell you why. The last article here that I read, the one with the NBC, it says parents' permission. Now, I'm assuming, and maybe I'll be wrong, and you guys can correct me on both Matic Expression and on YouTube. If this is say I make kids content, maybe put me on the picture, and I know I'm making kids content. I said yes, I'm making kids content. So I'm going to get affected. I know it's going to affect me more than anything else. The question I have to ask myself is, if YouTube asks permission to collect the data, this is very important, will that still affect my ad revenue? If I say yes, you can collect data, I'll give you permission, I put it in clause, they contact me to verify that, whether it be for Gmail or by whatever means of contacting me, and I said yes, this is me, this is who I am, this is my address, this is the channel that I give my daughter or my son permission, you are allowed to use this information to collect data. Because keep in mind, one of the main things that made this case so popular was the simple fact they collected personal information without parents' consent. Now, if I'm a parent and I gave consent, would that still affect my my ad revenue? I would think it wouldn't, especially if I gave permission. It shouldn't, especially if it's my channel. I'm aware of what they're doing, and I'm aware of what the data is being used for. I have to ask that question. Maybe I'll ask that as we go along with this. That should be answered, because I do believe that was the main reason for this lawsuit to begin with. It says here, it says that why is this happening? Again, I'm reading through my email. These changes are required as part of a settlement for the U.S. Federal Trade Commission, FTC, and New York Attorney General. It will help comply with COPPA. Regardless of your location, we are required to ask you to set a video made for kids. If you fall into the category, please make these settings as soon as possible. This is my problem here. And this is going to be a problem for a lot of people who do not live in the USA. How are you going to tell somebody from Canada they got to follow U.S. laws? That makes no sense. How are you going to tell someone who lives in Australia or UK to follow a law made for the United States? Unless COPPA is an international law, which last time I read is not, that's going to be kind of a difficult thing to tell a Canadian or an Australian or a Brit or someone from Japan to follow something that is a U.S. law. This is the problem that I have with these laws, more so than anything else. It's not the fact that they're trying to regulate, it's they're regulating on a local scale, and YouTube is not just a local social media platform. It is a global one. So unless there are similar laws in different parts of the country, in different parts of the continent, this is going to be one difficult law to enforce. It really will be. But we'll see. There's a whole lot of stuff that I'm saying. When they said regardless of what location, I think you have to take consideration. Yeah. Wait, if I'm a Canadian, that should not apply to me. Why should it apply to me? Why should I have to apply from a law that's not even passed by Canada or by the Parliament of Britain or the UN or the EU or anyone for that matter? This is just a U.S. law. Why are you trying to enforce a U.S. law on me? I don't even live in the U.S. See, this is a thing that I think YouTube needs to be careful with. This is the thing that I'm very, very, very concerned about. Keep in mind, it says, regardless of location, we are required to ask to set your videos as made for kids. If you fall into the category, please make these settings as soon as possible. Another thing about this, and I'll get back to the situation, is that to these settings as soon as possible. Location is one problem, because I can't see that being enforced by a Canadian or any other parts of the country. And here's another thing: make these settings as soon as possible. That means every video that I've made in the last 6 years, I have to make these settings for every video. I don't think so. If someone has 500 plus videos, you expect them to go back to each and every one of them? They're telling me I gotta do it one video at a time, or is there some kind of platform that I can actually click on one click of the button and that's it? And here's for me, you know, even though I don't make money off this platform, my video, I don't consider it to be hardcore. You know what, guys, I don't do anything crazy in this channel. I keep my my language as clean as possible. There's a time I make it a little dirty, but not too extreme. I don't like using those words. So by putting not made for kids, I have to ask the question, would that immediately put me on age restriction? How would they view my videos that, even though it's clean and concrete, how would that view my videos? Yeah, I don't have no toys in my video. I don't have, you know, any presentation where I'm selling a doll or presenting something that that is a toy that I'm trying to push, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. This is going to be a long video, folks. Get used to it, because it's a very important thing. Just want to make that out there. But how is that going to affect my videos? Especially when I'm not monetizing my videos. And that's the thing. I'm not monetizing anything. I'm not pushing a commercial. So should I still be putting made for kids or anything else? Or does it only apply towards those who are monitoring their videos? Again, these are questions that need to be answered. And does it have a cutoff? Is it starting on January, all the videos from now until and from now on has to be done about that, or is it all the videos from the very beginning? Keep in mind, you have people who had this channel for 10 years still doing YouTube videos. You want them to go through 10 years worth of videos just to apply with a made for kids? Again, this is something that I think that YouTube needs to take a serious look at. The article continues on. If you don't set your contact, or if we detect an error or abuse, we may set your audience for you. If you fail to set the contact accurately, you may face compliance issue with the FCC and other authorities, and we may take actions on your YouTube account. So this is what they're basically saying. We're throwing the responsibility pretty much on your shoulders. And you know what? They're not the only one that's doing it. Yes, there is that report. The FCC is cracking down on YouTube creators, which is very scary. And I'll tell you why. It's not for the same thing that a lot of people may think, but I can tell you why, and I'll get to that on in this podcast. It says here we cannot provide specific legal advice, but according to the FCC guidance and COPPA, a video is child detected, which is called Made for Kids. If it is detected that children as a primary audience, videos for preschoolers, it is directed towards children, but children are secondary audiences, etc. Cartoon videos that primarily target teenagers, but it's also intended for young children. That is a flaw in the system, and I'll tell you why. There are animation shows out there that are not targeted for kids. These are animated shows that have curses, that have violence, that are meant for, adult content. They are for adults only. How are they going to get affected? If your so-called automatic system detects that, they may not know that's made for for adult audiences. They may look at that as this is kids. I'm a robot. I only see cartoons. That's all I see. So now they're in jeopardy. This is the problem I think that YouTube needs to look at. We know this won't be easy for some creators, and that it requires changes. It's going to take some time to get used to. While we cannot provide legal advice, we are committed to helping you through the transition. Oh, really? I'm still waiting for a 1-800 number from you guys. When are we going to get that? When are we going to get a 1-800 number to you guys so we can talk to you about this and go through with this and ask how it's going to affect my channel? I still don't have that. And those who do have your numbers are the elite. Those who have 1 million subscribers that you guys cater to. I'll get more than that in the situation in the moment. The article at VibIQ, and this is the last article I'm going to be talking about. This is made by Cheryl Marshall. She's actually I actually followed her before. Very reliable. Huge changes will make YouTube today regarding kids content that every creator needs to act on. Find out how COPPA will affect your YouTube channel and content settings. Today's YouTube announcement to way it's tricks to the way it tricks kids content on the flat tracks. Treat kids content on the platform. Boy, I'm having a bad time reading these words out today. My apologies. Let me read it again. Today, YouTube announced an official change to the way it treats kids content on the platform and how those changes affect every single creator, whether they publish child-focused content or not. Very interesting. She wrote that down. Let's get right straight to it. We wrote about that the devastating impact on September of 2019 FCC decision would have on YouTube creators who publish kids content. And now in the new video, see below, the head of the family partnership of YouTube confirmed how these changes will affect the upload process, your existing library on content, and potentially the way you monetize the content. The changes come into effect after YouTube settled with the FCC over platform COPPA rules violation. The Children's Online Privacy Protection Act is a 1998 U.S. law created to protect the privacy of children under the age of 13. Under the law, digitally entitled that are restricted from collecting personal information from users aged under 18 without the express permission of their parents or guardian. And again, I have to ask this very important question. And not one of these articles have said anything about it. Not YouTube have said anything about it. Not even the COPPA guys have said anything about it. That's at least what I read. If I gave YouTube permission to collect information, will that still affect my monetization, or will that be exempt? I have to keep asking that question, folks. If it says, if I give permission, yes, I'm aware of what you're going to do. I'm giving you permission to do it. That's fine. Will that affect my monetization? Especially if the FCC said, "What are you doing?" I said, "No, I gave them permission. I let them know this is for this age. These are my kids. I'm the one supervising it. I'm the one who's advertising this. This is what it is. Here's the written consent. There it is. This is my signature. Everything is good." Will that still affect their platform? Will that still affect what they do in terms of monetization, in terms of collecting any kind of money for monetization? I'm curious. I have not heard anything about this yet. I got to keep beating it on the bush. 11 things that the creators need to know right now. How does the new COPPA law affect? It's not new. Let's get this clear right now. It's been on since 1988. We're just now realizing it now. It's not a new law. In fact, this law has been around even longer. We just didn't realize it yet, and it goes back in the 80s when TV shows like Transformers and G.I. Joe came to the scene, and what they were trying to do, and how the FCC had intervened in that situation. In order to help you comply with the law, YouTube now requires you to make all your YouTube videos as made for kids or not. The platform has rolled out a new audience setting that lets you tell it whether the video are made for kids or not. YouTube is using a machine learning system to help them find content that is clearly made for kids, but it advised creators not to rely on that method as it's not perfect. No, really. Here's a thought. Don't use it. Why are you keep using machines? It is Jesus Christ, YouTube, what are you doing sometimes with this? Jesus. Oh my goodness. And you wonder why a lot of people complain about your platform a lot. Look, I love YouTube. I wouldn't be complaining this much if I didn't. They gave me a voice. I'm always appreciated them, but sometimes I think people who run YouTube really don't have any sense of business sometimes. I really don't. You're using a system you yourself have said is not perfect. We all know it's not perfect. This is pretty much the same system that pretty much you use to determine whether copyright has been infringed. Oh my God, how many times are you going to keep making the same mistakes? Please tell me why you keep using this system. Come on. You just said not to rely on this method because it's not perfect. Of course it's not perfect. It's a machine. It is not human. For God's sakes, hire a customer service division. A modern division that can monitor your channels, your website properly. You can't tell me you don't have the resources to do it. You have it. Stop relying on this self-policing nonsense. Anyway, number 2, as the creator will reality face fines up to over $42,000 if they don't comply. This is where people are getting a little bit stuff about. Potentially, yes, under COPPA, the FCC is entitled to seek around $42,000 for each mislabeling video. Not just a bunch, but each one. If the entire channel is comprised of content aimed at kids, that is going to be a huge penalty. It's a penalty. I'm not even reading the other one. I'm going to save this for later. I really am. But let's just say right now, and this is my own honest opinion here, if you guys are monetizing it, they basically are looking at you. COPPA and the FCC are looking at your video, your channel, as a business. If you're making money and you're making money in a sleazy way that violates any of their codes, they're coming after you, and they're coming after you hard. They don't care if you're making actually $42,000 on these videos. They don't care if you have 1 million subscribers or 10,000 subscribers. If you monetize these videos and you're making money, and if you're doing it in a way that violates their laws, then they're coming after you, and they're coming after you hard. And in many ways this is biased because if you have like 25 videos on this, you're pretty much bankrupt. There's no way you're gonna pay that, especially when especially if you're not a PewDiePie or Markiplier. No, there's no way. But we'll get back to that in a minute. But it is pretty much, hey, you got two choices: regulate yourself, or we're gonna do it for you, and you ain't gonna like what we're gonna do when it's all said and done. What if you don't label my content as aimed for kids? It says here, if you don't set your own audience, if YouTube detects any signs of error and abuse, it has warned that it may set your audience for you. But it also says in the last video that it said they may actually take actions on your channel. What that means, whether it's going to be deleted or pretty much suspended, it all depends. There are two ways to set your audience for channel: comply with COPPA law at the individual video level or at the channel level. How to update my audience setting at the video level. To confirm whether your previous uploads are content that are made for children, go to your video tab in YouTube Studios, then select the video you need to edit. Then go to the audience on this page. You will now be prompted to answer a question every time you upload a new video. Of course, if you already set your audience at the channel level, then the setting will automatically select it for you, which is good. I have no problem with that. That's good. If that's the case, there should be no problem with that, especially if you're not making your channels for kids. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that part. It's going back to the very beginning. That's my problem. How do you update my audience settle to channel level? And it shows here what it shows a screenshot, basic information, audio, advanced settings. So you go to advanced settings, and it'll set it right off the bat. It says, yes, set this channel as made for kids. I always upload content that is made for kids. The second one in the middle, no, set this channel as not made for kids. I never upload content that's made for kids. The third one is, I want to review this setting for every video. Now, I'm going to be very, very specific here. I actually think this is good for a lot of reasons. One, you have that option. If you set it for this, it will automatically set the channels for kids or not for kids. And it also gives you that option of, let me review every video on a timely basis. I have no problem with this. I think this is fine. I think this is. I don't think it's any problem what they just did right here. I think this is actually a good idea. I think this is actually pretty good. So again, you get no argument from me on that. You get no argument for me on how they dealt with this situation. Good move. Kind of wish it was here earlier. Alright, it says here the stats of the feature upload are entirely made for kids, not made for kids, and you can confirm this by going into the settings of YouTube Studios and clicking on the channel tab. There are advanced settings. Then go to the audience selection and choose the options that best describe your channel. By doing this, this will update your settings to all older videos. Thank you. Thank you very much for bringing that up. This is something I was wondering, so that will actually go back instead of going to video. That's good. I wish I would have read this sooner, but then again, I wanted to do it one step at a time. So that's actually interesting to do. This will update all settings to all older videos and your new videos too. So that pretty much, I'm hoping that means videos from the very beginning. So that pretty much answers my question there. 7. What is considered kids content anywhere? Kids content. Its content is as followed. What is kids subject matter in the video? Whether the children are intended for the audience for the video, whether the video includes child actors and models, whether the children includes characters, celebrities, and toys that appeal to children, including animated characters or cartoon figures, whether the language in the video is intended for children to understand, whether the video includes activities that appeals to children, whether the video includes songs, stories, and poems that appeal to children. Okay? Alright, so they got real all these situations here. Not bad. Still, well, if you use a machine, that's going to be a little difficult because, again, if I'm looking at this, if I was a person in customer service or a person regulating a platform like YouTube, I can look at that, I can see the video, I can say, okay, well, he has animated shows, so technically speaking, he does have cartoon, but they have foul language. This is more geared towards an older audience. I can legitimately say this is not for kids. Robots cannot do that. I'm just letting you know. How old is this new rule? How old is the kid's new rule? In the U.S., it's anyone under 13. Keep in mind, in the U.S., what about Canada? What about Britain? UK? What about Australia? What about Japan? What about China? China have their own strict rules. So, China have their own rules on YouTube, so they doing their own thing. But what about those guys? Do the same laws applies to them? I seriously doubt it. Should they be implied to the same U.S. laws? No. So again, how can this really legitimately be forced if that person who's doing it is in Canada? Just saying. Number 9, if the set of my content is made for kids, what does this mean for my channel? It says here, YouTube clearly states that the video content will aim towards children. The platform now has to start limiting their data it collected, and these viewers will also remove features including comments, personal ads, so some creators may see a decrease in revenue. Intro cards, end screens, stories, community tabs, notification bells, the ability to viewers to save videos, to watch them later, or save to the playlist. Wow. Just wow. Let me be. That's a punishment. It really is. Think about what they just told you. YouTube clearly states that if the video content is aimed towards children, the platform now has to start limiting the data it collects. On these video viewers, it will also remove features including comments, personal ads, so some creators may see a decrease in revenue. Info cards, end screens, stories, community tabs, notification bell, the ability to save videos, which watch them later, or save them to a playlist. That's a penalty on the creators. They basically just killed your channel. All the stuff you need to build your channel is going to be gone. This is a punishment towards the kids' creators. What will happen if YouTube thinks my video is made for kids, but I disagree? Can I appeal? You have the option to send a feedback to YouTube on this. Wow, I mean, that's going to really solve the problem. Number 11. What happens if the creator makes their video audience incorrectly? This will result in a compliance issue for COPPA and may result in a consequence for your channel on YouTube. Oh boy. Folks, I am you know, starting to see a little bit more about why the children's content creators are a little bit upset. Number 9 is harsh. Number 9 is harsh for a lot of reasons. For one, the personal ads, the information cards, which I don't know why that would be a big deal for COPPA. the end screens, the stories, the community tab, notification bells. You might as well say they got no channel now. The ability for viewers to save videos, watch them later, or save to a playlist. Now, I can understand the share part to a degree, but everything else is like, you're killing this guy, you're killing the people's channels. Everything you normally they use to build this channel is pretty much be stripped from them. I can understand clearly why anyone who is a creator of these type of channels will be a little bit ticked off. I think YouTube needs to really reevaluate what they're going to do with this one, because it's not going. You're not going to win any happy stars or any happy faces with this one. It's just not. Everything else I've read, I technically don't have a problem with. But if your consequences to comply with it means you're going to strip away every of their features that they have worked so hard to build, then it's basically going to be pointless. This is not. I don't get that part here. You're stripping away everything these guys have built for. Info cards? Really? End screens? Stories? I don't even know what the hell that means. Somebody please explain that in the comment section. Notification bells? It's basically where I'm at right now, but stripped down to the bone. They basically have just a small video. Their audiences that they're targeting will no longer be available to them. Remember, you have both to pay like, comment, and subscribe? Well, guess what? They took all those 3 instances away from the creator. And you don't think this is going to be a problem? YouTube, come on, man. If I set my content as made for kids, what does this mean to my channel? They basically are punishing the creators. That's what that means. There's no other way to put it. I don't know, man. I mean, this is not looking good. I can't see this working out well. This is going to be a huge problem. YouTube is gonna be in trouble with this one. It says here that you have the right to appeal or send feedback, which is a joke to me. Because if you're not that big of a channel, they will take forever to respond sometimes. I don't know, man. To me, and again, I have to ask the question. Was there no one in this seemed to be answered? They asked a few questions, but they didn't ask the one major question. If I gave YouTube permission to track, to do the information, if I said, okay, fine, you're using this information for this, fine, you use it for this, that's fine, I don't care. Will this still apply to me? I'm still looking at number 9 right now. I haven't moved from this spot because I'm burning my image on this. If I was to monetize my channel like this, and you're telling me because we need to follow the rules, you need to, tell us that you're made for kids. So by the way, we're going to take away this, and that. You don't think that people are going to try and cheat the system? You actually inviting them to cheat the system just by taking this away. Comments? Well, people say, well, kids don't comment on it anyway. They're not that engaged. Maybe, maybe not. Personalized ads. Some creators may lose revenue. Info cards, end screens, stories, community tabs, notification bells. Why is that? Why is that being taken away? Explain that to me. The ability for viewers to save videos, watch them later, or save to a playlist. Why is their playlist being affected? That don't even make any sense. You have a playlist for a reason on YouTube, to organize your videos more better, to categorize your videos more better. Why would you not want them to save in a playlist? Share video, I can kind of understand. But you can't even save the videos. So basically, they can't download the videos. So are they gotta be pulling the video only to be deleted later on? What did that mean? This makes no sense whatsoever. I am looking at this and I cannot understand what they're trying to do. YouTube, give me something here. It's been an hour and 10 minutes. I'm for 5 minutes. I'm staring at this one step here. I mean, everything from here. You heard my voice. Here, from 1 to 7 for 8. I said, okay. So they're giving us the tools. They're giving us everything else. And then I looked at number 9. And I couldn't believe it. I'm looking at this like, wow. Comments, personal ads, info cards, end screen, story. I still don't know what story is. Community tab, notification bell, the ability to view viewers to save videos, to watch them later, or to save on a playlist. Basically, what they're saying to every kids creator out there: don't make kids content, because you're gonna be stripped bare bones if you do. That's what they're saying. They're saying don't make kids content. Don't do it. Just don't do it. I'm stunned. I'm stunned. Wow, I am really very stunned that they actually looked at this and said, yeah, nobody's gonna have a problem with this. That 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things stripped from a content creator who made for kids content. 8 things stripped. And you want to know why they're stripped? Because you know why? Honestly, because the more YouTube can't make money off you anymore. That's basically what they say. What it says. We can't make money on you anymore, so there's no sense of you having all of this here. You monetize anything else, you're not going to get money for it. We're going to have to take all this stuff away because we used to make a lot of money from what you're doing. Now we just can't make any money at all. Gee, Blimp TV is missed right now. YouTube, I think you need to go back on this one a little bit. This is a penalty. This is not helping anyone. It's not helping YouTube, and it damn sure ain't helping the creators who are doing it. This is a penalty. This is outright a penalty. From everything else I've read, I'm like, alright, cool. Alright, they got their program. It's not that hard to do. But once I reached number 9, I was like froze. I was stunned. It says here that the person who wrote this saying this is the head of marketing for VGQ. She is also a content marketing expert with 10 years experience in video making, social media management, consulting, marketing, CEO. She is a YouTube certified and a judge for the UK, US, and EU. All right, whatever. Why, oh my, oh my. I don't know, YouTube. You just basically is going to cause a lot of problem with this. Really going to cause a lot of problem with this. It is an hour and 13 mark. You know what? I'm going to break this up into 2 parts, guys. I got to break it up into 2 parts. I can't make this be 2 hours long. It's just impossible. I'm going to leave it at that. But needless to say is that I will leave a link to these stuff because I think it's important you guys read up on it. But make no mistake about it. I think that one thing here, if they want them to be honest and open and everything else, that's fine. That's one thing. But when you have, it says here, YouTube will clearly state that if your YouTube content aims towards children, the platform now has to start limiting the data it collected for these viewers. It will also remove features including comments, personal ads, info cards, end screen, stories, community tab, notification bell, the ability to viewers to save videos, watch them later, or put on a playlist. It's obviously they're saying is here because you guys have chosen videos. These are the ways. They're basically telling you this is how they collect information. This is This is how they collect information, not just on the data alone from the watching the videos or whatever they're collecting, but all of these right here that you are seeing right here. That I am actually looking at it and right here. This is how they've been making their money. And now they can't do it, so they basically said, well, we got to remove this because it's your kids' contact. So I'm going to save my own personal. If I'm going to leave the note here, I might as well just finish up with a little bit more time here because I'll make it at least the 1 hour 20 mark. But I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to get my feedback. It's going to be on YouTube. But I'm also going to go also on the content creators because, again, they have to share some of the blame as well. It's not just YouTube. It's not fair that I'm not going to be bashing on YouTube, but I do have to stress this. YouTube, you know the platform that you've gotten yourself into a long time. I may say Google, and you've been trying new and incredible ways to make money. You had the ad revenue sharing, which allowed people to make a little money on the side. Some were great that they became millionaires, or at least made a very comfortable living. But then stuff started happening. And then you started collecting more data. And listen, COPPA is not a new thing. Okay? COPPA has been around a lot longer than we actually want to believe, and I'll explain that more in part 2. But needless to say, even beyond 1998, one thing I will give credit for the FCC, they realized the Federal Trade Commission, along with the FCC, and I put the FCC for a reason, because this is a new version of the FCC in many ways. They realized what companies and what production were doing. They realized how they were doing it and how they were targeting towards kids. And how commercials are very strongly influenced and how they are very, very manipulative in how they deal with young audiences who will watch their products. There is no coincidence, and those who are 80s kids, you know what I'm talking about. G.I. Joe, Transformers. There is no coincidence how they have the public service announcement at the end of these shows. There was no coincidence how they downplay a lot of the violence as unbelievable goofy stuff. G.I. Joe always struck me as the most dumbest thing I ever watched, but it was so much fun and entertaining, and I watched it anyway. G.I. Joe would have all these guys with weapons. Look like laserisk, but then again they may not. And not one of them can hit a lick. It was done on purpose. And there was also another reason why it was done, because number one, the FCC and the Federal Trade Commission and anyone who was monitoring children's programming at the time realized what they were trying to do. Let me give you a little hint of this. If a cartoon gets canceled, or let's put it appropriate, animated series get canceled, whether it's on Saturday mornings or on Cartoon Network, it most likely isn't because of the ratings. In fact, a lot of the great classic cartoons were canceled with great ratings and a great fan base. However, that was not the reason why it was canceled. The reason why it was canceled because they wasn't selling a product. G.I. Joe had a tie-in toys. Transformers had tie-in toys. They sold like gangbusters. The moment Transformers came out, no less than 2 weeks later, children from my school, along with everybody else, had at least one Transformer toy they were sharing and they was playing with others. The same thing went with G.I. Joe. The same thing with any other toy product at the time. Thundercats, here comes the toys, it sold. If a show was canceled, it was likely due to the fact that that toy didn't sell. It didn't push the product. And it's not just the toys either. It's any major show that you probably watch. And adults, the adults are the same way. The adult shows have a product to push. If that product doesn't push, whether it's good ratings or not, it won't go. It will not stay. And that's the same thing with YouTube. You don't think COPPA don't see what's going on? I'm going to tell you something that annoys me most about YouTube platform the most. It's their commercial ads. It's not the ads in general. I understand why they're there. I understand why is there. They hate to pay the bills. That's perfectly fine. I have no problem with that. My problem is when you put something that's clearly not an advertisement product. For example, I'll give you a perfect example of this. I have watched something with my daughter. An ad came on. It was a Nala and Ellie YouTube video. 10 minutes of that video about them playing with an LOL doll. The video that me and my daughter was watching was no less than 8 minutes. They had a 10-minute commercial. But it was not a commercial, it was a YouTube channel. I put that on YouTube. I blame that on YouTube fully. And it's not just that. It's a lot of other stuff that I'm seeing. Playground University playing on my feed for 4 or 5 minutes. Or seeing a 56-minute movie. Oh, my very apologies. A 56-minute show that is disguised as a commercial. You don't think COPPA is going to look at that? You don't think the Federal Trade Commission is going to look at that? Of course they're going to look at that. Of course they are. And YouTube is no different. Now, you may not agree with it. You may not think this is the appropriate. You may think you want to keep it the way it is. And in many ways, I can understand in some ways with the government situation, and I understand with the YouTube situation. But now it's starting to happen. They're coming in, and they're going to start regulating. And they're going to go after those who skip behind the laws, who go after the laws. And for YouTube, they should have known better. That whole statement that I read about, they don't have any content provided under the age of 13, is a joke. Because there are people who have their kids who are clearly not 13. In that video, they may not be the main focus, but they're there. They're collecting revenue on that video. And yeah, they may not be the one making the videos. As long as their face are there, they're there. Now, I don't know how many of them they asked permission or not. I don't know. I don't think they actually didn't think they was the big issue. I think one would think if you're going to collect data on the kid's show, one may actually make sure that they got permission from their parents and not go through this whole situation that they have gone through. So they were definitely wrong with that. But you also have to have the key word. The fact is that their private information are in fact being used to actually make money. And again, personally, as long as it's not used to blackball me in terms of them making some kind of accounting fraud under my name or try to Lisa call my name, fine. As long as it's done for those advertisement reasons, I don't have a problem. As long as I know about it, as long as I'm aware that it's happening. And unfortunately, Google has fallen the victim of not letting their people be aware this was happening. And I know what they started to say is, well, they got policies. People need to read the policies. If your policies is 33 pages long and is written in the way of a lawyer's policies, people are not going to read it. This is something that is both done intentionally and done without actually consideration. Just put it in layman terms. Give us 5 things that we can and cannot do, and most importantly, give us the rules of how you're collecting the data. To be fair, they have done better with that in terms of emailing, just like they did with the email here. They do email from time to time. I do read it from time to time. I have to, and they know what the hell's going on. Excuse me. But there are other times where they don't inform people, and that's because probably their arrogance that they can't get in trouble with what they're doing, or the fact is how they collect. Now, I don't know how much they actually make. According to this, they make billions of dollars of collecting. It's a lot of money for them. But it also goes back to the situation. If you're going to go through all this, one needs to have some kind of a regulation order within their company. YouTube had put a situation that they got themselves in trouble, and now the burden of their mistakes are going to be left on these creators. And don't get it twisted here, right? What I just read here, what I just read between the lines here, they're basically telling you we can't make no money off this program, so we have to strip the stuff that you normally would make money on there, just to comply with a law that we found stupid. But hey, we got to do it anyway. Okay, fine, but it's going to affect the content creators badly. It's going to correct them as worst as possible, and many people are a little concerned and nervous because this is just the beginning. This may be the first of many steps that the government may take to regulate the internet. You know what? They're absolutely right. And you want to know why? Because YouTube, or the people who are in charge of YouTube, is not doing it. And they keep throwing it back on the creators. You wonder why I keep saying the stuff I said about you don't rely on YouTube in terms of them having your back, and sometimes you may have to get your own website and everything else. It's for this reason. You have no control of what YouTube does. If they make a mistake, you think they're going to correct it on their own? You think they're going to start regulating stuff in a way that's going to actually be helpful towards their platform? No. Of course not. Absolutely not. Well, of course not. They're going to throw it right back at you guys. They're going to throw it right back to the content creators. And that's what frustrates me. Because, again, this is a billion-dollar industry company. Google itself is a billion-dollar company. They should invest in the right management, the right people, and the right people to do resources on the environmental impact. They didn't think about this until it actually hit them on the wallet. And of course, you got these guys who run these agencies, and rightfully so. They said there's not enough because they're still doing it. It's a small piece in the pie. And they're right about YouTube not policing themselves, that this is just a slap in the wrist for them. I wouldn't say that as a slap in the wrist, because $170 million is still $170 million they no longer have. And they're not going to go through that again. So guess what they're going to do? They're going to put the burden on the creators. They're going to put it right back on you guys. Say, okay, now you need to tell us whether this is kids friendly, is it a kids video channel or not. And if you don't tell us, you're gonna face penalties from us and from the from COPPA. Oh, and by the way, we have to take away all this stuff that you guys probably need to actually make a living on these channels. But we have to do it anyway because, number one, we obviously don't want to be fined again. So this is the way to keep that from happening. They're throwing the burden right back on the content creators. They say, "Oh, you're independent. You guys can handle it. We don't want to have another $107 fine. So we're gonna let them deal with you." And yeah, COPPA, depending if they want to be real jerks about it, they can come after anyone who violates their terms of service or violates their laws. But make no mistake about it, they're just basically throwing it right back on the creators. You think they actually... I just read about it. How do you appeal it? You get the feedback. What the hell that's going to do for me? Give me a goddamn number. Hello. Why am I losing revenue? I just told you this menu ain't made for kids. Look at the channel. Let me get a hearing. Oh, just write down your feedback from the troubleshooters that you guys have that doesn't really affect anybody. That's YouTube for the nutshell for you folks. And to me, YouTube needs to get their act together with this. YouTube wants to have their cake and eat it too in certain things. They are biased in certain things. They cater to certain people who are elitists, and they cater to certain people while burying other people who have actually got good content, but because they don't have the descriptions or the subscribers, they will bury them to the point where we can't even find them. They're worried about how much subscribers are, taking people off the channel that they subscribe to. But when it comes to actually contacting them and actually having actual policing, they don't want to do that. And then they wonder why people get upset with them. They get upset because, number one, you're not taking control of the platform you guys built. You want us to follow these rules and regulations, and I have no problem with it. I'm aware of it. This is not my channel. Yes, it's YouTube, but technically it's their platform. They can do whatever they want. But what I do expect is some kind of organized stability. There is none in YouTube. Not in the management level. They still relying on self-policing. This is another word of self-policing. They expect us to be honest. Oh, by the way, we're going to have a robot that doesn't have a pulse to also help us away. Instead of actually saying we're going to start creating a special service, customer service, to deal with the issues. These services are going to be 24 hours a day or whatever time you guys want to have. We'll have it, and it will work based on different subdivisions, different regions. We'll have people contact us. You'll tell us what's going on, and we'll deal with it from there. No, they don't do that. Certain people who have a large amount of numbers, if they're lucky, they have the number. They have the telephone number they can call direct. Everybody else has to go through a ridiculous system that may or may not respond to them. They will only respond when there's enough pressure from the fans to take actions. And this is going to be the same thing. And to me, this is the problem I have with the whole system. More so than anything else, this is why I think YouTube needs to start changing their act. YouTube is so hell-bent on being something else. And I don't mind them making changes, especially if it benefits the channel. COPPA, their premium, their red, whatever they want to call it. I don't mind that. If it's content people want and they feel they got something going, that's not a problem. You can't be biased about it. You can't say advertiser friendly when the same thing that you're telling that you're cutting people off in terms of revenue, you're not doing it for your own stuff. And we see it. Come on now. Yet regardless, I have to put some feedback on the channels that post this. I will get to that. I went a little longer than usual on this video. Again, I went longer than usual on anything else. I'm going to save that for part 2. Because I'm not letting the content creators off the hook on this. I'm not. Because as much as I really want to get on YouTube again, some of the responsibility has to also go on the content creators. And I'll explain why. I hope you'll be with me on that. Until then, this is J77 saying take care, be safe. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.